Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to St. Thomas. We're here to do the return leg up to Miami. I've added a little bit of information for you guys to see. This is Sim Update 14, latest beta DX12. And I put up my this on-screen display so you guys can see frame rates and all that fun stuff that most of you guys care about. I don't really, but I know that it's something of interest. So we're sitting here at the terminal. Let's get in the airplane here. First things first, let me show you real quick what my settings are. TAA today, just because that's what I normally do. I'll do a test later on for DLSS. I'm going to do a flight in DLSS and see how that goes. And so there are my graphics settings. Just want to make sure that I am connected to VATSIM, and I am. So let's get started with today's flight. Come down here. This is a handy little app if you guys don't use it. SimBrief panel from flightsim.to. I love it. It just gives you your fuel real quick and easy. I basically use it for 22,668. I basically use it for fuel, zero fuel weight, and routing. And let's see, ZFW 121.3. I always round up because I figure that's probably a safer way to do it. Not many people on the way back to Miami today. So, in its route, TIST. I think, so things changed obviously when the tablet came out, or the Universal Flight Display, I think is what they call it, for the PMDG 737 here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And at first I had a really good rhythm for the way I set up my FMC. And I was kind of worried about whether that would kind of get messed up because of the FMC, but it really hasn't. I still pretty much do what I used to do, with one exception. I don't know why. It's one thing I changed and saved. I have a turnaround profile that I use. I always start in my own kind of custom turnaround mode. Basically because I know most of my settings. I mean, half the time I'm flying out of Miami, so I've got my runway settings all set up, and all that fun stuff. And this is the cool thing about SimBrief panels. You can also get your routing here. So runway 10, Palco 7 departure, no transition, and then into Miami. And do ILS 8 right, Vice 2, Madit, execute, check our legs. Yeah, I hate that message because it pops up like 15 times, and it doesn't really mean anything to me. Madit's wingless Clyde jets. I actually know this approach by heart. I've flown it so many times. That's one of the cool things about flying. Something with such regularity. So you get the legs wind here, winds, load them, execute them, descent, forecast, and they're loaded here as well. And We're going into Miami, so transition level is flight level 180. Now is when we will head over to the EFB, so I can do my performance calculations. I'm pretty much done with this for now. I don't know what that's all about. There's an ARAC update today, by the way. Today being Monday, November 13th, I do believe. Alright, 3000, winds 110 at 10. Miami, variable at 4. 2622, that's going to change as we get closer. 2622, the significance of this, that's temperature and dew point. If the difference between those two numbers is less than 5 degrees, you can expect what the FAA calls restrictions to visibility, and that's what the rest of us call fog or clouds. So that's always something you want to keep an eye on. But in a hot environment like Miami, it might start off like this in the morning, like early morning. It's now 8:30 in the morning. But the temperature is going to increase much more than the dew point over the course of the day. So that's not a concern for me. Flying into Miami, if I was flying into Minneapolis, St. Paul, it absolutely would be a concern for me. There's our OFP. Let's get our departure. There is that. We want that pinned. We want the Palco 7 departure pinned. Arrival, Miami, we want... I always try to scroll on these pages and it doesn't work. Device to arrival, we want the ILS 8 right. And we want the airport diagram. Airport info, there we go. So, we'll take this. Why is that pinned? Oh, okay, yeah. Just has a different name than it normally does. It usually be airport info. Takeoff minimums. This has takeoff minimums because there's a big mountain right here. So, alright, let's head over to our performance tool. Taking off runway 10. Get all this info from the airplane. I'm going to do flaps 5. Packs are going to be on. Import the weather. Outside air temperature 29. QNH. That's not the QNH, by the way. QNH is a different value than inches of mercury, but it's the same info. Close enough for government work, and we want to write down the select temperature 47. That's the thing we need. And so I'll go back over here to me chart. Alright, that's good enough for that. Now come back over here. Select temp 47. You want to put the slash after it because there's a slash right there. You don't want to erase this. And so we'll hit that, and then it gives me my N1. And we come over here, that sets it automatically. Come over here, flaps 5. Runway wind is 110 at 10. Tis dry. And actually, I'll probably want that to be a little higher. Simply because of the hill at the end of the runway. I don't want it to pitch down while I'm trying to clear that. Alright, so now it should give us our trim. Double click that. Click, click, click. All good to go. 146, so V2 plus 20, 166. Trim is 4.73. Right, there's 4.73-ish. What did I say, 166 for V2 plus 20. I think the runway heading here is 100, and it is. It's a cool thing about flying in and out of the Caribbean is all the runways are pretty much in the same direction. The other thing I want to check is what is on our standard instrument departure, what is the top altitude? Top altitude here is, there's your transition altitude. What's my top altitude? Top altitude is the altitude at which there's 3,000. That's kind of wacky. That's the altitude at which generally the altitude at which the departure, you'll transition from the departure to the en route climb. That's Palco. It's not that far. It's not that long of a departure. It's only out to here and then hang a Ralph and probably might not even be 20 miles. So that's why it's going to be top altitude of 3,000. The reason I'm curious about that is it's kind of about where they're going to give you what they're going to clear you up to on takeoff. Check our cruise, 38,000. So we'll set that. Hey, look at that. I know Miami is 0. So now we can get the fuel pumps on. We'll get the APU going. These on. I don't want to turn the window heat on yet because it's going to burn it out. And we'll turn on our anti-collision lights, let everybody know that we're thinking about doing something around here. FS actions, ground services, no. Pushback. Alright, so pretty well set here. I'm trying to sit up more straight in my chair. So now the result is turn that on already. The result is that my head position has changed and I catch myself if I start slouching. Alright, so we're going to go with the APU, turn the bleeds on. I'm not going to turn the packs off just yet because if I do that now, I want to turn the nose to the right, gauge the toe brakes.
Cockpit to ground.
And here we go.
Go ahead. We've been cleared for pushback and start. They want the tail to our left. Roger that. Ready for pushback. Tail to the left. Release brake, please.
Alright, we'll release the brakes.
Brakes released.
Turn, no. Turn the packs off. Start engine 2 first because engine 2 is where the air conditioning is.
Brakes released. Here we go.
.25% and 1. The old fuel there. Pack is off. Alright. St. Thomas Traffic American 13901 pushing back gate 2. Taxiing to runway 10 via taxiway Alpha, St. Thomas. There's 25% and 1 there. And there's the click that we're waiting for, and there's the click that our passengers are waiting for because they are sweating. It's the air conditioning going again. You always want to start engine 2 first when you're in a hot environment. There's that.
Pushback complete. Parking brake set.
Alright, there's the toe brakes.
Brake set.
APU coming off. APU bleed off. Set the isolation valve to auto.
Steering pin is pulled. Watch for the salute and release from guidance on your right. Have a good flight.
These are on continuous. Let's turn on the taxi lights. Alright, I think we're pretty good. Remind myself to sit up straight. Alright. And let's see here. Turn that off. Set that to rejected takeoff. VNAV. Alright, it's a quick turn here, so a quick rundown to the first corner, as it were. If this were a Formula One race, we're going to turn to a heading of 250, so we'll get that going. And I also want to look at my legs page and see if I need to do a direct 2 or if it's going to activate itself. I think it's going to go direct 2, but anyway, we got to make sure that we're ready to fly the airplane. Flaps 5. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. Those are my frame rates. It's pegged at 60 because that's my monitor refresh rate. Alright, flaps 5, auto brakes are set. Start that, turn that on, start that. Just going to take a real quick look here on Volanta and see if we have any traffic coming in. I don't see any. Alright. Auto throttle on. Doing this a little quick just because I can. That is the ILS Critical Area. That is your ILS transponder right there. And what that line on the taxiway indicates is if you are past this line and there's a plane coming in on the ILS, because your airplane is a huge mass of metal, you might screw up their ILS reception. So if ATC ever tells you to hold short of the ILS critical line, that is the line we're talking about. It's double white or double yellow line across the taxiway with slashes in it. Alright, I'm not gonna roll right out to the runway. I'm gonna hold short here and make sure that everything is good to go. Alright, these are all on. Lights are good. Gen 1 battery. APU is off. These are all good. Seatbelts are on. Both on continuous. That's all on. On. That's good. Temps could be a little lower here. Those are on. Alright. That stuff's all good. Those three are on. Flaps 5. Auto brake is on. Reject takeoff. We are good to go. St. Thomas traffic, American 13901 departing runway 10, Palco 7 departure to the northwest, St. Thomas. Take a quick look outside, make sure we don't see anybody. And we'll get our departure pulled up here. Alright. And so I'm going to let this run probably when I get into cruise. I might record this whole flight, put the entire thing up. I don't know. I may record it and edit it. But I want you guys to be able to see the memory and all that stuff as we're going throughout the length of this 3-hour flight. Alright, final approach course is clear. Runway is clear. I'm going to use every inch of this runway. Alright, we are on center line. The brakes, 50% N1. Engines are stabilized. Release the brakes. Toga power is set. And let's commit aviation.
Airspeed alive.
Checked.
80 knots.
Cross checked.
V1. Rotate.
Don't be shy about getting airborne here.
Positive rate of climb.
Gears coming up. Command A here. Turn that off to take a screenshot there. Alright, now next thing we want to do, roll this up. Alright, runway turn off lights coming off. Cabin is pressurizing. Alright. And we did not follow our flap schedule because we were taking pictures. The good thing though is to have a routine so that you catch yourself in things like that. So before I put, so now that now that my flaps are up, turn off the gauge, or the landing gear rather. So the good thing is to have a routine. And if you have a routine, it's kind of funny because I don't use the checklist in the 737, and I should. I mean, you absolutely should. But so my checklist for after takeoff is turn these lights off, turn the engine, make sure the engine starters are off, put that to both, check that the cabin is pressurizing, because if that's not pressurizing, we don't want to keep climbing. Then I check to make sure the auto brake is off, gears up and no lights, and the flaps are at 0. Once all those things are checked, then I turn off the landing gear. And if I hadn't run that mental process, I might not have realized. I mean, I would have realized eventually because we didn't accelerate as we should have. You know, but because I do have a mental process that I go through every takeoff, we were good to go. Well, I mean, it's still a mistake. But that's kind of actually also one of the cool things about flying, is that there's no such thing as a perfect flight. There just isn't, and there never will be. You know, there never will be. 10,000 feet, landing lights off. Weather is looking good, so we'll turn the seatbelt sign off as well. If the landing light, or if the weather was not looking good, I would leave the seatbelt sign on for a little bit. There is Vieques going over the top of Culebra right now. Kind of a cool shot. There's going to be a little airport coming into our view right now. There it is. Great little airport. If you've never flown into Vieques, you should. So, that is the end of our departure. 114.0 is the San Juan VOR. I should have actually had that tuned already. Always have to turn that off. I don't know why I do. Alright. 114.0 is the San Juan VOR. Turn that on. That'll tell us our distance from the San Juan VOR. And as we climb here over San Juan, I'm going to clear us straight up to our cruise altitude of flight level 380. Took me a bit longer to get myself going this morning than I wanted to. I was hoping to be off about 45 minutes earlier than I was, but because I care so much for you, the viewer, took the time to set this up so you can see what the memory, CPU, RAM, all that fun nonsense is. I guess I don't know that I really consider it not important. I just think it's not important to an extent that once you get to a point where you're happy with the performance of your system, which I am, and of course it's system dependent, obviously, but once you get to a point where you can say, okay, I'm happy with this, this works for me, then I just don't understand the obsession with kind of keeping, to keep looking at it, keep checking it. And so, people are like, well, I get 43, sometimes I get 45, who cares? It's smooth, So I wonder how long the video file, or how big the video file is going to be for a 3-hour flight. I guess we'll find out, right? Yeah, I'm just kind of contemplating what I want to do here. I'm either going to record the whole thing and edit it, or I stop recording relatively shortly and then come back and record a bit of the cruise just so you can see what the memory, like, you know, because I think what everybody's going to be interested in is what the memory usage is and that sort of thing as the flight goes on. And then come back and record the approach and landing and stick the three of them together, or I just record a 3-hour flight and see what happens here. So first of all, find out where. Alright, 115.6 is the Providenciales VOR. We'll put that in as our next. I like to put in VORs along the route. And that way you have an idea of where you are. Just in case all this whiz-bang gadgetry goes amiss. You know, stranger things have happened. But, yeah, so there we are. I'm going to leave it be for now. Come back and record a bit later and then record the approach. There's no reason to record this whole flight. Alright, so I will see you guys shortly. Return, that's San Juan International Airport right there. And, alright, so I'll see you guys shortly. Alright everybody, we're back. Inbound to Miami. We're on the arrival. Gonna fly the ILS 8 right. Just getting things set up. About to do my landing calculations. Let's look at, first of all, 3009 on the altimeter. Now descent, forecast, 1019 in the QNH. So as you can clearly see, DX12. It was 15,000 when I left. So this was right about the same, about 10,000. So I mean, I don't see anything that would indicate a memory leak. You guys have the data, so you can see a right, conditions dry, runway heading is 092, not 094, flaps 30 packs on, auto brakes 3, operational. Weather is correct, so let's calculate our landing distance here. UF is 146, flaps 30. Alright. So come over here. Whoopsie daisy. Come over here, we'll do our approach calculation, and we'll also change our altimeter setting. Approach calculations, what's our 0.4 is the difference between the fuel quantity now and the fuel quantity at Miami, so it's not going to make any difference at all, but 130.6, we'll put it in because we are precise. 141 is VREF, plus 5 is 146, that's good to go. Alright. What else do we need to do? Let's have a look at our arrival. Don't need the star. Can I please have my charts? Thank you very much. Approach chart. And of course, ILS 8, right? I didn't know you could unpin it from the pinned page. Approach ILS 8, right? Alright, let's see here. 110.3, we got that in both sides. 092, we got that in. 450 is our decision height. Decision height, of course, is the altitude at which you make a decision on a precision approach. Difference between a decision height and a minimum descent altitude. Decision height, you're on a precision approach, you get down to the decision height and you make a decision. Can I see the runway environment or can I not? Minimum descent altitude, you descend to that minimum descent altitude and continue at that minimum descent altitude until the missed approach point and decide whether you can see the runway environment. What is the runway environment? Start from the approach lights and work your way in. The runway environment is your approach lights, your runway end identifier lights, your touchdown zone markings or lights, your PAPI or VASI, your runway centerline lights, your runway side lights, your what else? Anything that could help you identify the runway. If you see those lights, any of those lights, anything in the touchdown, in the runway environment, then you can proceed down to 100 feet above ground level. So in other words, my decision altitude here is decision height is 450. That's 442 above ground level. If I see the rabbit, which is this right here, medium intensity approach light system. I see the rabbit, which is those lights that extend out from the end of the runway, flashing lights. If I see those at or above 450 feet, I can descend down to 100 feet AGL, which would be 110 feet on my altimeter. I can continue down if I see those. Missed approach, climb to 800, climbing left turn to 3000, I'm heading at 270, outbound DHP VOR R335. R335 is a radial off the Dolphin VOR. Now what is a radial? Radials radiate out. If you're flying a radial, you fly the heading of the radial. So I'd be flying a heading of 335. If you're flying a course inbound to a VOR, you fly the reciprocal of the radial. Aren't you glad you know that? DME required, simultaneous approach authorized with runway 9. VGSI, vertical glide slope indication, and ILS glide path are not coincident. What that means is either follow the ILS glide path or follow the PAPI, but don't follow both. because they're not the same glide path, or they're not the same angle. And I've already missed my 25-foot range ring. Miami traffic, American 13901 is 15 miles to the southeast, inbound ILS runway 8 right, Miami. You kind of wonder why I'm not flying the ILS 9er. I actually kind of wondering that myself right now. Alright, what else we got here on the approach plate? And I should have done this a long time ago, by the way. Autopilot coupled approach not authorized below 500 feet. Localizer unusable. 1.2 nautical miles from the threshold. Alright, so we're looking for Chrome or Copra 3000 inbound 092. Glide slope intercept is at Lawn. That's the Maltese cross. Threshold crossing height 51 feet. Touchdown zone elevation 8 feet. Glide slope is 3 degrees, 140 what? 146 is going to be our VREF plus 5. So figure with there's not a whole lot of wind. So maybe we might have 800 foot per minute descent rate, 700 to 800 feet. Pappy on the left hand side. Minimum intensity, medium intensity approach light system with the Rabbit. Missed approach, climb straight ahead 800. Left turn to 3000 on heading at 270 and intercept the radial here. Alright, now that we got that covered, let's sit up straight. Coming down to 240. 272 is our vector heading here. See 272 track vector. So speed of 245, I don't want that to increase. Alright. I'm a little bit behind because I didn't want to waste too much of your time with the second part of this video. The whole point is just to see whether there's a memory leak in DirectX 12 with Sim Update 14. Those are all fancy words. Alright, so Copra. They're all fancy words. Generally don't concern me. So once we hit bills, now we can come down 3,000. Alright. Now I gotta get my last minute fidgeting in. Gotta fidget, get comfortable. .6 for bills. Alright, we can come down to 3,000. Select, and we can start slowing down here. Start slowing the airplane down. Alright, so we want about a 60-degree vector, so about 332 here in a little bit. Turn 332. Miami traffic, American 1391, turning a 10-mile right base, runway 08 right, Miami. Alright. So now, I want a speed interval because I want to walk back to my up speed here. And we're past Cobra, so I'll continue around here. 092, about 30-degree intercept, so 062. There is the localizer. So we'll hit the localizer button. Glide slope is there, so we'll hit the approach button. Localizer and glide slope are in the backup, so now we're perfect. Actually, I want to bring that vector just a little bit to the left so we capture outside of Cobra. Why do I have it at 2800? I want to bring it down to 1500 because that's glide slope intercept. And I'm gonna go first degree of flaps. And we'll walk it back to flaps 1 speed. Localizer is captured. Lights are on, engine starters on continuous. Arm the speed, well, let's engage the speed brakes here because I want to slow this airplane down. We'll go flaps 5. Miami Traffic American 13901, 10-mile final runway, 7-mile final runway 08 right, Miami. DME is 10.0 right now, but localizer glide slope are captured. But
2500.
I'm gonna go gear down, flaps 15. But remember the ILS localizer transmitter is at the other end of the runway. So oopsie, no, we gotta walk this speed down here. And I'll walk it down to 146.
Miami traffic present 618 heavy turning left base on approach of 08 left.
Miami Traffic American 13901, 5-mile final 08 right, Miami. Speed brakes, I want them armed, not deployed. We'll go flaps 30. Alright, now we want to keep an eye on that N1 speed right there. We want to make sure we match that. 46. Alright, got about a 10 knot headwind here. Yeah, it's going to come back a bit. Alright.
1000.
Yep. Auto files off my airplane. Miami Traffic American 13901, 3-mile final runway 08 right, Miami. A little bit gusty. A little bit of nose down trim. A little bit of power out. Alright. Pretty happy with this. A
500. Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continue. One right on the happies.
300.
Aye, aye, aye.
$200. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
That wasn't too
And
bad.
traffic for the 1016 have established on approach to right left 10 miles.
That wasn't too bad. Come on. Alright, and there we have it, folks. Speed brakes. Let's make sure there's nothing coming over here. There is not. Let's get ourselves off the runway. Miami traffic, American 13901 is clear, runway 8 right, Miami. Alright, so a little bit of juice here. Not too bad on the approach. My vertical speed was too high at one point, which is a bit disappointing. Flaps up, speed brakes are stowed, auto brake is off, so I was a little disappointed in that. But come on, this is the most pain in the butt button in the entire airplane. It really is. But of the things that concern you guys, we're going Delta 26. It's my favorite place to park in Miami. We're gonna go right into the terminal building if I don't slow down here. Yeah, I mean, all things considered, it was pretty good. You know,
Traffic for the 2615 landing 0 class.
trying to improve my
Miami traffic, American 7076, 10 mile final, 08 right, Miami.
trying to improve my my 737 landings, various degrees of success. Alright. That, now we can cut both the engines, come down here, FS actions, ground services. Let's get the chocks. Let's get ground power connected here. So yeah, I mean it was all right. I'm gonna get off the VATS and frequency here. It was all right. I'm pretty pleased with that. I mean, below 1,000 feet, you shouldn't have a vertical speed exceeding 1,000 feet per minute, which I did, which is not good. Turn this off so people don't kill me. You know, it's not ideal, but I felt pretty comfortable on that approach, even though I had to do everything pretty quickly because I was kind of spent a lot of time getting stuff ready and wasn't really let me put it this way, if I didn't know the airplane well and wasn't relatively proficient at it, then I would have gotten behind the airplane. But because I am pretty proficient at this airplane, I was able to keep myself, you know, on par. Got the anything else I need to turn off? Not really. I got, yeah, just one last light. No, it was off. Maybe I turned it off. So anyway, I was pretty pleased with that. I'm pretty pleased with that parking job. And as you can see, memory usage and everything is at or below what it was when we left. So I don't see any memory leak. Everything's operating pretty smooth, and I declare myself happy. So I hope you guys enjoyed the approach and landing, and thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.